Karma, aka ReapWhatUSow. You know that's real. That's the realness right there, y'all. For those of you who have committed adultery against somebody, you know, you snuck around with somebody while you were connected to somebody else, remember that you're closer to the one that you kept secrets for than you are to the one you kept secrets from. You see? So if you really want it to be a thing where you're close to your significant other instead of the person that you're sneaking around with, you might want to have a secret with your significant other that they know what you're doing, even if the person you're doing it with don't know that they know. Boy, you're gonna act like a little bitch all the way, huh? Pour him some water. And for those of you who don't know, who are doing that kind of stuff, it does come back around. Where your significant other ends up closer to someone else than they are to you. For probably just as long. You know, some water, little dog, is it? Why are you sitting there, huffy and puffy? Y'all done? I'm gonna sit there and hold it for you. Let me put it on the floor for you. There you go. Smoking on a banana mac pre-roll, store-bought pre-roll. And for those of you who are prone to carry a knife, the bigger the knife, the more useless it is. I mean, you know, if you, pardon me, if you want it for self-protection. Because if you have a little knife, you have the element of surprise. They don't even know you have it. I mean, if it's in your hand and it's just barely sticking out of your hand, you can do a quick sideways motion right at their neck and slice open a carotid artery that will slow them down, you know, because they'll be trying to stop the blood from gushing out of their neck. Or you could slice higher up and hit their face or their eyes or something, you know. But it's like if they don't know you have the knife and they get too close on you, it's kind of like a woman who knows how to use keys as a stabbing instrument, you know, by putting the keychain in their hand and sticking the key out through their fingers. So it's like having brass knuckles almost, but it's a key. Instead, it's sticking out, and they can punch somebody in their temple and penetrate their temple, punch them in their eye, penetrate their eye, punch them in their face, penetrate their cheek. You see? These are the days when you have to think about self-defense. Even going down the hallway to check your mail. Because when it comes down to it, when there's an element like that who are identified, law enforcement's not going to deal with them. So they're still out there running around loose, waiting to prey on their next victim, you see. And their crimes, the severity of their crimes escalates every time they get away with it. So you have to think strategic. You have to have a small, very sharp knife. You have to know how to use it. You can't, like, hold the handle of a knife and stab somebody directly unless the knife has a handle guard, because your hand will slide when the knife goes to stab into whoever you're trying to stab. The knife will slide and you will cut your fingers on your own blade. You see? So that's why the sideward motion is best. You have just a little bit of the blade sticking out. That's all you need. You'll feel the neck go across your fingers, and you'll know that the blade is in their neck. or their face, whatever you're going for. Then I know it's kind of scary and gruesome to have to do something like that to somebody. But if somebody's too close on you and they're about to do something to you, it might be the less gruesome option, you see, rather than let them do something to you. So yeah, little knives are best. Little sharp knives. I don't know why I felt compelled to bring that up today, but I did. Because, some women, they need an equalizer, and that little knife could be an equalizer. They got it in their hand. Nobody can really see it. Nobody knows they got it. They pulled it out of their pocket, and the person approaching them is too focused on her face and her reaction, so you look scared and you look all panicked, oh no. But really, you're composed inside, and you're ready to fuck them up. You see. You get a group of guys approach you like that, well, you might have to do that to a few of them to stop whatever's about to happen to you. But I would encourage all young women, have pepper spray that you can quickly grab on you at all times. Get real familiar with having it in your pocket with your finger on the trigger. And also a small knife. Because, well, that's really the only law enforcement you can count on. It's the only law enforcement you're going to have there with you. And you have the right to protect yourself. You have the right to not be raped or tortured or killed. You have that right. You have the right to protect yourself. For those of you who don't know, if you're in the United States, you have the right to protect yourself. And you are encouraged to do so. So, it's been a nice day. Busy day. Been busy at it all day. And we were going to go to my grandma's. Well, it's my brother's now. My grandma's dead. We were going to go to my brother's house and hang out, but I don't know. I didn't feel at peace about it. And I don't feel at peace about spending the money right now to do it. We have to go to another town to look at an apartment Monday. We're already asking the people to do that for us. And it just seems like a waste of resources for nothing more than going somewhere to hang out and probably just party and shit. My wife and I can party at home together. And when we're done partying, we can just go to bed or whatever. We're done. We don't have to entertain anybody or, act like gracious guests, any of that shit. That, and I don't know, there's grand saboteurs everywhere in the circles of my life. People that are jealous, or they're jealous of something, they don't know what it is. I mean, if they knew what it was, they would know not to be jealous of it. They should be grateful that they don't have it, I mean, for real. Everything that looks like a blessing in my life right now is letting me down, except for my animals, of course, But like the other stuff that looks like dressing and, blessings and shit, that's all in perspective. If you, did you just wipe your snot on your shirt?
No, my face. I'm sweating. My forehead. My hair.
Yeah, some things are not what they appear to be. And people are jealous because they think that you're getting it and you're not really having to pay the price for it. They don't understand the price you're paying for what they're seeing. And I'm not just talking about my wife or my music. Or, how I had my life together in September before my wife came along. I'm not talking about just those things. Maybe I'm talking about them all in a nutshell. I know there's people that are jealous of me over the music, that I've been able to do by myself, on my own, in spite of the adversity of, being poor. I've been dirt poor, creating songs as if I've been creating them in studios, man. You can't really tell the difference. Because God blessed me with intelligence and audacity, and an Audacity program. So yeah, the program I work is Audacity, because I have the audacity to use it and create songs and put them out there, because, well, some people like some of the songs. Nobody's gonna like all your shit unless they're just a dedicated fan who just loves what you do that much. I loved Elvis, every fucking fiber of his being. I wanted to be the guy when I was a little kid, but I didn't like all of his songs. There were some of his songs I wouldn't listen to. Some of the ones that were played on the radio were some of his shittiest songs. Just to give you a clue who Elvis was, his top charters were, that was all rigged. Because, well, his good shit didn't even get attention. So you didn't even have a clue, except for a couple flukes, like, we're caught in a trap, we can't walk out, because I love you too much, baby. And, in the cold Kentucky rain. Okay, those two songs made it on the radio big, but that was like a fluke. Everything else, Elvis, that made it on the radio kind of, I don't know. It didn't stand up to the stuff that didn't get any attention. Almost like a dumbass picked out what songs to promote. So, yeah, and Elvis had a lot of dumbasses on his crew, Colonel Parker, who was so greedy that he crushed a lot of shit Elvis could have did with the greed. The contract that somebody's gonna, Elvis is gonna own their song and shit like that, Well, you just sell the song to somebody else who doesn't want ownership of the song. They're just gonna lease the rights. So then you fuck Elvis out of the song completely. So then he doesn't get a good song that his competitor gets. You see? So yeah, them bullying tactics can backfire. I give you Suzanne Summers as an example with Three's Company. They acted like Suzanne Summers was the main draw to Three's Company just because of that opening intro where she's laying there with her butt cheeks hanging out of her bathing suit. Yeah. Well, they got that, so everything else anybody else can do, and they kind of proved it once the demands were made for more money, and the producers didn't roll with it. Okay. But here's an interesting thing. And how you see thugs walking around with their pants down, their butts exposed, trying to be what they think is gangsta, because they don't know nothing about gangsterism. True gangsterism. That was actually started, that wearing your pants down below your butt. That was started in like San Francisco and Philly back in like the early 80s, or maybe even as far back as the late 60s. Where walking around like that let potential clients know that they were available, you see. In other words, it's a male prostitute flag that they've tricked this generation and the generation before this generation into thinking is gangster. And I'll tell you something about gangsters. A real gangster ain't gonna walk down the street when he gets out of jail, for one. Because, well, those are supposedly thugs that they saw walk down the street, they lost their belt. Well, when they get arrested, they lose their belt. A lot of times a man don't give it back. It just gets thrown in the pile, don't get back. Get back. Well, a real gangster's gonna have a hoe pick him up in one of his Cadillacs and fucking have her bring him a belt. A belt costs $5 motherfucking. You see? He's got an extra belt hanging in his closet. So bring me a belt, hoe. Come pick me up in the Escalade. You see? What's a somebody who's not a gangster, they just a member of a herd. You know, they're hood herds, you know. They hanging out on the hoods and they dealing drugs on the street and shit. They on the street corner and shit. They pimping hoes and slapping them around, putting all kinds of negative karma on them for that karmic, reciprocity. Well, one of them might not have some hoes to call, might not have an extra $5 for an extra belt. You know they don't got an extra belt hanging up in their closet. So they might walk down the street presenting. It's called presenting. When a woman will, like, bend over and make sure you're getting a nice view of her ass, because she's presenting it to you. She wants you to see it. She wants you to try and get some of it, you see? Different women present in different ways. Some women will laugh at a motherfucker even though he ain't funny right in front of their husband to present herself to him. I will fuck you behind my husband's back. These giggles mean that I find you entertaining and my pussy's dripping for you. So then the motherfucker knows when her husband ain't looking, snatch that up, right? All these things are true. And a lot of times you can see what's happening with your significant other, the shit they're doing. If you would just admit to yourself what you're seeing, you know what you're seeing. You just ain't wanting to admit it to yourself. And you can't really say nothing without sounding like you're accusing. But here's the thing. A lot of times when you ask somebody something and they'll take it as an accusation, if they'll say, oh, you're accusing me, that's almost like a sure sign that they're doing it. For real. That response to, using those words in response to you asking a question that may or may not even be related to what you're asking. Because sometimes if you don't know something's happening, you may ask somebody a question and they'll take it like, oh, you might know what's going on, or you might have figured it out. So they're going to try and deflect, right? So they will change the subject to where it's you accusing them instead of, whatever you asked the question about. They don't want to answer the question. So, LittleKnives, karmic reciprocity, and time loops. Those are all things to consider. What's a time loop? When you die, you're going to be time looped as your victims if you have victims. That means even those that were hurt in videos that you liked. If you were entertained by them being hurt or being murdered or something, raped, tortured, it's like, if you liked it, then you got to get time looped as whatever it is you liked that suffered, you see? And then you get spiritually executed because you identified yourself as a contaminant. What's in your non-tamperable, non-deletable spirit memory? You identified yourself as a contaminant, so you have to be spiritually executed to not get born when this timeline gets restored back to a restore point and gets restarted again and gets replayed. Signs, contaminants. What are you doing back there? Come on, man. You're making all kinds of noise. So we got a lot of people out here. Little kids playing across the street. And young people that pulled in here. Please stop. Sit the fuck down. Lay down. But when you see somebody's karma start kicking in for shit they've done, it's going to get bad, and you may want to distance yourself. Because you don't want to be with them when hammers start dropping. You don't want to get hit by the head of their karmic hammer. So if you don't got their karma, you ain't doing the shit that they do, you may want to, separate yourself from them and depart from whatever it is that they've got going on. Don't even participate in it. And maybe repent for it. Try to do the opposite, you see, of whatever it is that they're doing. Like if they're molesting mentally challenged people, maybe you go on the just a rampage to protect mentally challenged people from their element, you see. When you hear them bragging, you know that they got no sense of shame about it, right? When you see their videos, you know they got no sense of shame about it. They're just welfare phantoms who don't exist.